Patrick is a professor at the Department of Soil and Crop Science at Colorado State University in the US. And he's currently, spending a sabbatical in different places, and he's been with us at ICRISAT for the past months. And so there at Colorado State, he teaches and conducts research on plant breeding, genetics, and biotech. And his research disease resistance in dry bean and seed yield in canola. So he has been involved in a number of projects to evaluate the benefits and risk of genetically engineered crops. So if you've got any queries on GMO, you can ask maybe. And prior to joining Colorado State, he has had a number of experience outside the US. Spent 10 years more or less in agricultural development agencies in Nepal, the Cape Verde Island, west of Western Africa, and then in Mexico at CIMIT, I understand. So Patrick, you're going to be talking about improving drought tolerance in wheat in the semi-arid US, Great Plains. Over to you.
Well, thank you very much. I'd like to say how grateful I am to Vincent and his group for hosting me. It's been a real pleasure. And to all of you at ICRISAT, you talk about the ICRISAT family, and my wife and I have really felt welcome. So thank you very much. This initial slide is just to give you an idea of why we're interested in drought tolerance in Colorado. This is the most recent version of the US Drought Monitor map, where essentially everything that's not white indicates some type of moisture stress. My part of the country is right here. And so good shares of Colorado are currently in these scary sounding terms like severe drought, extreme drought, exceptional drought. These are areas that are important for crop production. Most of the wheat, the winter wheat at least, takes place in this belt, which are those shades of red and brown. So it really is serious, and this is coming on top of 2012, which was serious drought year. So climate change deniers are having a hard time, on top of things like this, as well as hurricanes and other extreme events. So it's something we really need to start paying attention to. So we've been involved in a number of aspects of drought tolerance. These are some of them. I'd like to say something about the wheat growing environment in Colorado. Our attempts to use wild relatives for enhancing drought tolerance. Something about canopy spectral reflectance as a phenotyping method. Genetically engineered risk assessment. And then finally, a little bit about soil microbial associations. So this is the normal moisture pattern in Colorado, well, in the US, with this very regular series of bands. As you go west, it gets drier. So that in our area, most of our winter wheat production is in areas between 380 and 500 millimeters of rain. Now, last week, your DG talked about the dry regions you're targeting and the wet dry, with 500 millimeters as some kind of dividing point. Well, unfortunately, we're mostly in the dry. So this is really semi-arid and similar to environments you work on in some ways. This is a diagram of how winter wheat grows in Colorado. Planting is in the fall. Crop gets established to the 3 or 4 leaf stage, goes into a dormancy period, and then late February, March starts growing. You get this stem elongation phase of rapid growth. Heading takes place in mid to late May, harvest late June and early July. So it's really a long crop. It's in the ground for a good 9 months. What are the key stages? Well, I'll just tell you a little bit of what I'll say later, and that this stage is extremely important. Having good plant establishment in the fall so that the crown and the root tissue gets developed before the cold period, and then stem elongation phase in the spring. So March and April rainfall. We thought we should take advantage of a lot of the historical data that's available. So we access data up to 100 years in some places for weather variables and yield estimates. We looked at 5 different counties from south to north.